Star Revolution podcast for a very special episode. If you haven't already, join us on Facebook, 5 Star Revolution Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, 5 Star Revolution Podcast. Tonight, we have a very special guest. He's from another country. His name is HERCO WISKY, all the way from Argentina. How you doing today, sir?
What's up, you posers? Hello, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for joining us here tonight. I know it's late out there, right? It's like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, there's a time difference from here, from Argentina, South America.
So how is it over there in Argentina? How's the wrestling scene over there?
Wow, things is really crazy. I mean, you might notice that English is not my first language, so I'll try to keep up with it. But in fact, we speak Spanish. Hablamos en castellano acá en Argentina. Esto es Argentina, papá. La tierra de Maradona, claro que sí. So, it's pretty strange because I wrestle mostly outside of the country because I've started wrestling and training here in Argentina, here in Buenos Aires, but then I started traveling, and I've discovered that I love traveling and wrestling wrestlers and meeting fans from all over the world, and that's my dream. That's what I started to do. That's what I'm still doing. That's what I plan on doing during 2022. And I started wrestling and training here, and then started traveling to Chile first, then Peru, then Brazil, like the most important and most influent countries in South America. South America scene is like pretty new to wrestling. Not new in the sense that it exists like recently, but more of the fact that in fact I mean Titanes in a Ring, which is a legendary show, goes back to the 60s here in Argentina, but mostly because people are just adjusting and adapting to the current style of wrestling that we see in WWE and Impact, Ring of Honor, New Japan, and so on and so on.
So were you a wrestling fan growing up as a kid, and who were your favorites growing up?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I grew up watching Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, and it's kind of funny because today is the 9th of November. It's the anniversary for the Montreal Screwjob, where we all saw Bret Hart tap out like a pussy, like he means it. And anyone who says differently doesn't know shit about wrestling. And so yeah, it's weird actually how it all came down because here in Argentina we didn't have like TV shows on the TV. Mostly I got to know wrestling because of the video games, the merchandising. Got to hear, but not the product, which is kind of strange. But I first discovered wrestling by playing a Sega Genesis game, and I completely fell in love with that shit. I found it like the characters is like a fiction, but reality it's like people, but they do these crazy things. And I've been an actor. I've been an actor for since I was 2 years old. So that's something that really came close to me. The way they react and the way they move, the way these characters come to life, and that's why I decided to become a wrestler much later in my experience and in my life.
So you said that the wrestling scene is kind of new to Argentina. How did you find about wrestling school in your area? Like, who trained you? Who were the trainers down there?
Well, I was trained by Rocky Rolando from the Federación Argentina de Catch, the FAC, which is a local promotion. I mean, it's weird because we don't have here in Argentina and in all South America the concept of a promotion per se. It's more like wrestling schools and training places, and just recently a few groups are starting to go independent from their coaches and from their trainers. Lots of bad experiences with guys myself included, suffering from this thing where if you wanted to wrestle for another promotion, they like talk shit about you and they don't like it. And this happens, I mean, it happens everywhere, I think. But once I started wrestling outside of the country and traveling to wrestling in CNL, Chile, which is the place I work the most. It's like the biggest promotion in South America. Um, that's where it got pro. That's where it got a little more professional, and I could arrange better deals for me and act and feel like a professional wrestler.
So, what is the style in Argentina? Is it like high flying? Is it technical, a brawler?
I think that we are in a particular moment in time where it's more like hybrids everywhere in the world. I mean, it's not like in Japan they only wrestle strong style, or in Mexico they only use lucha style, or in the UK they use like a more grappling shoot style. It's not like back in the 60s and the 70s. It's more like a hybrid of things. Uh, and according to that, Argentina is the same. We because we Argentinians have such a sense of humor, you might have noticed. We tend to use a lot of humor and do funny things and do crazy things in the ring, outside the ring. Use this is a very classic and typical resource to use pop culture references of what's trending at the moment and using that to generate heat or generate a pop. That's what I like to use to cause a reaction.
So, are you a heel or a face right now? I'm imagining you're a heel.
For pretty much my whole life, I've been a heel. I've always liked being the bad guy. I mean, I'm not in this face heel thing. It's more like this is me. If you like it, you like it, and if you don't, then go fuck yourself. But
so, so
yeah,
who is Herco Whiskey? What is your character about? Who is Herco Whiskey? I want to know.
if I would have to tell somebody like in an elevator chat, I would say that I'm a rock star who drinks whiskey and likes to party and likes nightlife and brings all that craziness to the ring. In fact, I used to take sips of my glass of whiskey. I come with a glass of whiskey to the ring and spit it on the opponent while the referee is not watching. Sometimes it backfires on me, so whatever. But I'm not such a big guy actually, so I play more like a high flying athletic style, and especially I'm more of the type of I win matches with my brain more than my body. So I use like more strategy because I'm also very how would I say it, like educated, especially since wrestling is a place where non-educated people are everywhere.
So, do you remember your first match that you had in your career? And if so, what do you remember from that match?
The thing I remember the most is that by 2 minutes into the match, I got a knee to the gut, and I fell, and I was like, I can't go on, I can't go on, I can't go on. But then I got up and I got on with it. That's like the
Who was it?
first semi bad experience, but it was more like a warning of what's to come, of what would happen years after that. I actually never imagined that started in wrestling would take me where I am today, where I can say I'm one of the most recognized faces in South America by wrestling and participating in CNL Chile, which is the company with the most views on YouTube, with the most followers on social media, and the most crossover appeal also with people from the TV, and we did interviews and so on and so
So, would you say wrestling has changed your life then? And if so, how?
on. It's weird to think that right now I feel that this is the place where I like to place my art the most, because I'm an artist, I'm an actor, I'm a singer also. I'm a rock singer, and I'm a vocal coach. So I actually help people how to learn to sing. I'm a singing teacher. I'm a vocal coach, and so it's a life revolving always around art. And I think I've also always liked sports. I played football when I was a kid, and then swimming. So I've always liked this mesh of sports and entertainment and acting and giving a good show, like an athletic competition mixed with this really nonsense gaga that we all like and love. I grew up watching WCW and the Attitude Era, so I'm more like a 90s kind of guy. ECW, NWO, that kind of thing.
So, how is it like to live in Argentina? Like, how is the culture there and the food and what's the biggest sports out there besides wrestling?
Oh man, this country is amazing. How couldn't you say so when you're in the country that has Messi and Maradona? Well, it's not a big secret. Football is the most popular sport here. Um, we have a lot of good players throughout the years. We have 2 World Cups, so it's a very, very footballish country. The women, we have the most beautiful women on the planet here in Argentina. The food is amazing. The food is like very various and varied, and oh man, you have a lot of things. Well, meat. Argentina is very well known for its good meat, specifically.
So, what would you say to the Americans out there that don't know about Argentina? Like, should they visit and wrestle you?
Like what?
I said, what do you say to those Americans that never been to Argentina? So, should they visit and come wrestle you?
Yeah, if they pay me. This is a business. I'm willing to wrestle everyone for a price because that's what we professionals do. We don't work for free.
So, you mentioned that you were a vocal coach. I'm gonna take you to the test here. This
Yes,
is
I am.
this is the portion of the podcast where I asked the wrestler to cut a promo for me in character, if you don't mind, for like 30 seconds.
Okay, your name is Carlos, right?
CJ Price.
CJ. What's up, posers? This is HERCO Whiskey, the Argentinian delight from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I'm calling CJ because if he comes here to Argentina, I'm gonna take him out to eat some meat, to meet some women, to drink some beers, but then I'm gonna kick his ass. Besties!
Where'd you come up with that Herco whiskey name? Like, where did that come from?
Well, Herco is because they call me like that from since I was a kid. Because my last name is Herkovich, so like the diminutive, we use a lot of that. Because if you have a guy called Santiago, they will call him Santi. Or it's like when a guy is called Randall and you call him Randy, or when you are named Robert and they call you Robbie. It's just the same. So they call me Herco. And the whiskey part that came when I was a teenager. I started to drink a lot, probably a bit much, and went out partying, and that's what pretty much defined my character. Because right now, I do recognize that I'm a bit more calm, a bit more disciplined. I take care of my food, my rest time, my training time, and I don't party like I used to. Pero when I do party, you bet things gonna get crazy and wild.
I betcha, man. I betcha you sound like a crazy guy and a cool person to party with.
As a matter of fact, when I go to Chile, I try to take some guys out. Come on, let's go to a disco, let's go dancing, let's go have fun, let's go get a couple of drinks. And they're like, no, man, I'm okay. And then it's like, what the fuck are you doing with your life, man? I mean, I wanna. It's strange because generally when you arrive to another country, they take you out to tour and to just do something. Uh, this is like the inverted Herco whiskey effect when I'm on the on the next country and I'm the one inviting everyone to go out in their own country.
So would you say you're the life of the party then?
Yeah, well, it sounds crazy, but that's how my mom used to call me when I was a kid.
So I'm imagining, since you've been, how long you been wrestling?
8 years.
8 years. You've been
I started
traveling.
in 2013. Yeah.
So you've been traveling all these different countries. I'm imagining you have some funny backstage stories or a funny
Oh
road
man,
story.
I could write a book about it.
You mind telling me one funny road story?
Oh, I mean backstage. Oh, a lot. I not only backstage, but doing during like the tours and etc. I mean, I did a few tours with CNL in Chile. I went to uh, Temuco in the south, Concepcion in the south. Um, I once listen to this one. I once had to travel to Temuco, which is like 8 hours to the south of Santiago de Chile, and I had to travel alone. And so we are sponsored. CNL is sponsored by a beer market, by a beer brand called Escudo, which means shield. That's the beer that sponsors us, and we had a lot. You can imagine we have a lot of that beers always at disposal. So we started drinking like 4 p.m. in the house, and maybe like 10, 11 p.m. I had to go to Temuco, so I grabbed the six-pack from the freezer and I put it on my bag and I went like drinking during the traveling. And I just arrived like at the morning, like 6, 7 a.m. and I continued drinking beer. And then I wrestled in a university on the afternoon. And after the match, we drink more beer and we drink more mojitos and went back to Santiago and had a couple more beers, and it was like a crazy weekend.
So
Oh,
you drank
as a
that.
matter of fact, I have I have crazy stories, man. Before I even got into wrestling, once I no, not once, not twice, but maybe more times, I almost died like Jimi Hendrix, like choking on my own vomit while sleeping. um, I once got electrocuted on a disco. I got like I put my fingers on it. I swear I'm not kidding you. I put my fingers like down the bar and yeah, and I got like an electroshock.
So you're a cat. You got like 9 lives.
Yeah, but maybe more. I have more lives than a cat than your typical house cat.
So let's talk about dream opponents. Since you live in Argentina, I'm not really familiar with the wrestling scene out there. Who is your dream opponent, and who do you want to wrestle in the future?
Well, the most popular guy here was a wrestler called Martin Caradagian, which is the founder of Titanes en el Ring, which is like the biggest Argentinian wrestling show that ever existed. He's, of course, it was like many years ago, so he passed away. But currently, the most famous star is Vicente Villoni, which is a rock star with a really long blonde hair, perfect hair, and he was the face of 100% Lucha. That means like 100% Lucha, which is a TV show that aired on Argentina like 6 years straight and did a whole lot of sold out arenas and stuff. That's like the most popular guy right now, even though this show ended like 10 years ago, maybe. So it's still, people still remember and love him. And I would love nothing more than to face him because it would mean a lot to my career to further my career even further.
Any American wrestlers on your list?
I'm not much a guy for dream matches because, to be sincere, I'm not into the product right now. I don't watch AEW. I don't watch WWE right now. I don't like what they do. I don't like what they show. It all comes out like fake or scripted. falso, and I don't like it at all. I like to be spontaneous, to be real. That's what I like about working in CNL. They let me be me. They don't show things down my throat. They don't tell me to go and do this, do that, say this, say that. They just hand me the mic and I'll do the rest. And that means that they trust in me, in what I do and what I like to do. So and the audience's response to that is it's what comes to certificate that what I'm doing is good.
So, out of your 8-year career, what would you say are the highlights of your career so far?
Oh, well, one of the highlights was making it to CNL because that's the place where I wanted to be. It was like the biggest company and with this whole huge production, kind of looks like Impact or Ring of Honor. You should check it out. It's in YouTube. It's like a CNL Chile. We did a web series. We did 2 seasons, and the third one is just the season premieres in like the 20th of November. So it's really really close to today. And well, I had very much. I mean, winning a Royal Rumble kind of match. That was actually my first win in my first year. I lost every match for the whole year, and then I won the big Rumble match like at the end of the year, and then people went crazy. I think that that losing streak kind of turned me face, which is strange because most of my career here in Argentina have been a face actually. Not over Chile, Peru, Brazil, because you know what, Argentinians are like we have a fame of being arrogant, of being cocky, of taking all the women, of taking all the cash, of just being so uncomfortably charming. And so that's why most countries hate us per default. So I'm using that to generate heat. There,
So,
there goes the flag.
I love that, man. Represent. So, basically, you paid your dues, lost all your matches for a year. You had your one big match, you won that match, and you became a household name in Argentina. Am I right?
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that. I have a lot of memories of that time of my life because I met a lot of friends and because it was kind of sad the way it all ended because I went through the big door. I said my goodbyes with respect and it's all good with the company, but the guys started talking behind my back when I got to wrestling Chile, and like Herco believes he's a big star and stuff, and that hurt me because they were I consider them my friends, and so but well, life goes on. You hold no grudges. I made a lot of friends over in the other countries. They always treat me with respect, not the fans specifically, but that's reciprocal. And but I do carry a lot of good memories, and because my time working as a babyface, I got to engage with the crowd, with crowds which are like maybe little kids, and then it was a big experience for me because that's not the style that I appeal to the most because of my style of drinking whiskey and nightlife and etc. But the kids kind of dig it, so I mean, I'm like a bad influence for them maybe.
So, what do you like doing the most, being a heel or being a babyface?
Heel all the way.
For sure. You must sell more merchandise as a heel, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, uh, well, I've been training for a few years, and now I have like a more physical body than before. I mean, I did like a big transformation physically, where I was like skinny fat. Then I became like I gained a little muscle, lost a lot of fat, and I do take care much about my presentation, especially since I started wrestling outside of the country because that's what makes me a professional. That's what makes me attractive for the promotions for me to work them. My
So, how
my my I'm sorry, but I wanted to continue. My biggest forte is like promos, like doing promos and mic work because I'm an actor since I was a kid. So that's where I shine the most.
So I was gonna ask you, how was COVID like in Argentina, and how did you stay active during COVID?
How was the COVID in Argentina? The absolute shits. Well, it was a long, long quarantine. Governments here are awful. I'm not a guy much for following the rules, so I get out whenever I wanted, and I did get vaccinated because they might ask for it when you travel around, and that's like my ticket. I don't care for my health. I care only for traveling and wrestling. And if I die tomorrow, I don't care. I had a great life. And but I did manage to train here in my home. And you know what? I've actually, my mind changed a lot because this thing told me or taught me how to slow down in life. And I've trained mostly listening to the Bruce Pritchard podcast. Bruce Pritchard, the right hand of Vince McMahon, forever, for ages. It's like I'm a very, very big fan of his. If you ask me, I'm not a fan of wrestlers per se, but more like these backstage figures like Bruce Pritchard, Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff, Paul Heyman, Jim Cornette, Vince Russo, like these kind of guys that were influential and pivotal to the business in some way backstage.
So I also listen to the Bruce Pritchard podcast. I think he's amazing. He's good at what he does.
Dude.
But also check out the Jim Cornette podcast because
Yeah.
that
God
shit is.
damn. Have you listened to Bruce's impressions of the guy
Yes.
when
No onion, no pickles.
when he does the Dusty Rose, like, hey baby, how you doing? A pepperoni pizza, funkin' like a monkey.
Yeah, man. I used to listen to that at my old job. I used to be like a picker, picking parts, and I used to put my headphones and listen to the podcast all day
You
long.
learn
So,
a lot. I've learned a lot from Bruce. I've learned a lot from Eric Bischoff, especially since they were pretty important people back when I became a fan, like in the 90s. I believe the 90s is the best decade ever in the world because entertainment was so on fire right then. Stone Cold and Vince McMahon, Attitude Wrestling, WCW, rocking with the NWO, and all things music, entertainment, MTV, Celebrity Deathmatch, Nirvana, like a whole, and Mortal Kombat. I love playing video games from that time. I grew up playing Mortal Kombat, so it's like a pretty rough and violent era. But I think that's how guys that grew up in the 90s uh, got to develop in their life by engaging these violent environments, and it's kind of safe actually to grow up like that because then you don't become a serial killer and and kill people on the streets. Well, you should.
so a couple more questions for me, Mr. Whiskey, and I know you gotta get going because it's getting late out there in Argentina. So, what can we expect out of you in the next 3 years?
Oh my God! Expect to see me everywhere because I plan on traveling a lot and fulfilling and continue to fulfill my dream of wrestling everywhere in the world. I'd like to, as I say, collect flags of countries that I've worked over and meet rings and arenas and people who love wrestling as much as I do. I always say I'm the worst tourist ever because I don't care to go to specific touristic places. If I go to the U.S., you take me to rings and to arenas and to meet fans and wrestlers. That's what I like to do.
Sounds good, my friend. Sounds good. And one last question. If there's one thing they can change in wrestling, what would it be and why?
Well, you can put the, as Jim Cornette would say, you can put the paste back on the tube. So I think that we wrestlers need to develop and innovate a new form of presenting this art to people, so it doesn't come out like, oh, it's a fake sport, ah, you guys don't hit each other. It's not like that. And we need to be honest with ourselves and just have fun, because I see a lot of guys worried about not making any mistakes and being like so damn perfect on camera, and you come out as phony and fake. I mean, to fail and to miss is something real in life. People can understand it. That's why it gets a reaction every time it happens, because mistakes do happen in life, and you will make a lot of worse mistakes than missing a cue or missing a wrestling move or whatever. I mean, you don't have to take this too seriously. You take it seriously in the way that you take care of yourself, train and eat right, and sleep properly, and get. I mean, you're in control of your own destiny. You're gonna get as many opportunities as you allow yourself to be to get. Sorry. So I think that's the thing that I would like to change the most. Let's be honest with ourselves and change this shit for the better.
I agree with you, my friend, 100%, and hopefully that happens in the near future. So
Yep.
where can our followers, where can our listeners find you on social media?
You can find me at Herco Whiskey on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm most actively on Instagram, so follow me there. And expect news from me in the near future. Season 3 of CNL is premiering 20th of November, and you're gonna see me in a pretty new role, since I couldn't travel to Chile because of COVID restrictions when the filming went down. I managed to squeeze in myself for a new role that you will find out very, very soon.
Well, there you go, folks. Go check him out. Herco Whiskey on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. He's a great wrestler. He was a great interview right here on the Five Star Revolution podcast. Find us on Facebook. Share this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Five Star Revolution podcast. Mr. Herco Whiskey, thank you so much again. We wish you the best of luck in your career, my friend.
You're welcome, and I had a really great time.
Thank you. Me too, man. And good luck in Argentina.
Thank you.
Take care, man.
Besis.